There we are. Back to edge mode. Click this edge now and this one. Probably leave that for the time being. And with those two edges selected, again, edit mesh, extrude, change to the move tool, W key on the keyboard, and move it up. So we're creating a bit of a stepped edge there for our base. About there. Okay, so now we need to fill in this gap here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is zoom into this area because that's where I'll be working. Go to Mesh Tools, down to the Multi-Cut tool. Okay, so with the Multi-Cut tool, I'll just click on this edge here, and if you click on an edge and drag, you can see what it's doing. It's creating a new, or the start of a new edge. So it butts up against that corner there. So I lift my finger off the mouse, and then move around a bit. Oops, there we go. So click and drag, and it creates the second point for that edge. Now we can adjust the position for this, but for now that will do. So when I press return, oops, press the W key to get out of that tool. What it's done, it's actually created a new edge along those 2 points. Now the reason we've done that is we need an edge there so we can then create a little polygon in between there. Okay, multi-cut tool is a little bit tricky, but it can be handy in some cases. So what I'm going to do is make sure that that point lines up with its corresponding one on this side here. So if I right click, go to vertex mode, just select that vertex, jump to the move tool, W on the keyboard, F to frame to get it a bit closer, just to get it on edge there, and then move it down in line with that point there. Again, probably better to jump to one of the side views. Zoom out, where is it? No, maybe this view. Okay, we can't see that point because we're in shaded mode, so in this case what I'm going to do is change shading mode to wireframe so we can actually get a much clearer idea of how those points line up. So I reckon about there. I think we can eyeball it. I think that's pretty good there. You can change back to shading mode if you want, but I'll just keep it on in wireframe for the time being. Hit the spacebar. Over the perspective view, hit the spacebar again to maximize it. And there we are. So what I'm going to do now to fill that gap there, right click, go to edge mode, select that edge, edit mesh, extrude, jump to the move tool, again W on the keyboard, move it up, and line up those 2, or line it up to those 2 points there. There we go. Okay, so now that we've lined it up, right click, go to vertex mode, and the tool that we're going to use, let me just raise that a little bit higher. Yep, that's fine. Right click, go to vertex mode. Now there is 2 vertices there. Even though they're lining up, it's actually the 2 of them. And what we're going to do is actually merge them together. So with those 2 vertices selected there, I go to edit mesh, merge. Now there's actually 1 vertex there, Then go to the other side. Again, we can line this up a little bit more accurately. Now we can move it to line it up to that one exactly, but another thing we can do is, in selecting that vertex, we want it to basically snap to that top point there, top vertex, so then we can sew both of them together. So the way we can do that is go up to these snap tools, these little magnet icons, click on this particular one, which is the snap to point tool. You can see the cursor or the handle have a little circle in the middle. So if I click and slightly drag, it snaps to the closest point. Turn off the snap tool. So those two vertices there are in the same spot. Select both of them, edit mesh, and merge. So basically those points there are sewn together or merged. So now we'll create an extra step here on the ledge the way we did it beforehand. So right click, edge mode, click on that edge, shift key, click on that edge, edit mesh, extrude, click on the R key to scale that extrude, and then from the middle click and drag, and maybe from the x-axis to get it in a little bit, to square it off a bit. That'll do. And just like before, what we'll do now is make sure that those vertices on either side, that one and that one, jumping to the top view, make sure they're straight. So W for the move tool, move it. Again, we're in the top view. That's pretty much pretty good. Scroll out, go to the other side, scroll in, select that vertex and straighten it up. Hit the spacebar, go back to the perspective view, and everything's sort of nice and square. Okay, so back to object mode, scroll into this area, select the object, again right click, go to edge mode, this edge, and shift select this edge, so those two edges selected, edit mesh, extrude, hit the move tool, and just lift those edges all the way up. I'm just tracking here, following it up. Press F to frame, move it up, line it up, and what we'll do in a sec is merge those two vertices here. So that's pretty much straight. Vertex mode, select those two vertices, edit mesh, merge. Okay. I'll go to the create menu, polygon primitive, cube, cube options. Now here we want, already reset it, but we want the cube to be about 10 centimeters or 0.1 meters square. So just go over it again, so 0.1, 0.1, 0.1 for width, height and depth. That's fine, and then in the y-axis and create. Press the W key, creates it in the center, there it is. Okay, so that cube is 10 centimeters square. So we want to position it in this corner. Easiest way is to hit the spacebar. Over the top view, hit the spacebar again to maximize it, and then zoom in a bit to line it up in that corner. Now sometimes even though shaded mode is useful, we still want to see the wireframe, but we actually want to see both the shaded and the wireframe. And what we can do is, if we go to shading, we can actually choose wireframe on shaded. So not only is it still shaded, but it actually shows the wireframe as well. Just makes it easier when you're positioning. There we go. There. That's pretty much okay, I reckon. Spacebar again in the perspective view. Move it down. Press F to frame a bit closer. Actually, I'll just go to wireframe on shaded. There we go. And that looks pretty good. Now that window frame is going to be a separate object anyway, so I think it's sort of sitting there quite nicely. Okay,